Yo, what's up guys, we're back and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. No camera, but yeah, we're just going to be covering chapter 392 of Rent a Girlfriend, man. Dude, it's literally one of the worst series I've ever seen, bro. Like, I mean, to be honest, it's just kind of not going how I wanted it to go. I think the direction that it's heading is very, very straightforward and just trying to come to a swift conclusion, right? I really hoped that post whatever rejection arc where Kazuya gets no play and just kind of gets teased and dragged along, that maybe, you know, we would have some character development between him and Chizuru through other means other than Yaemori. But that doesn't seem to be the case, right? It just seems that we are just going to go back to freaking the three of them, and Yaemori is just going to be kind of the problem solver. I mean, other than what we saw at the end of this chapter, which is just crazy to even think about, but that's besides the point. But yeah, man, let's just hop into it. I've been lacking on the uploads. I've been trying, I've just been lazy, so I haven't been trying, but it's okay, we're back now. But yeah, we're starting off chapter 392, where we left off last chapter, of Yaemori coming and talking to Kazuya, having a little pep talk, saying that, oh, Chizuru, you know, she's still in love with you. She's just waiting for the right time to say it, and this time's after her big play that she's gonna have, and she really wants to focus on the role. Kind of a weird excuse, kind of just a cop-out answer, but it is what it is, right? And that's just kind of how the story's going. Not the best writing here, but yeah. Oh shit. This is kind of just a continuation on this whole chapter. What we get to see throughout this chapter is the title of this chapter as well, My Girlfriend and Her Dad, right? So Chizuru kind of has daddy issues, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, I'm getting off this slide. Okay, well, Jesus Christ, dude. You know, this is actually easier because I don't have to pop up random panels. And basically Chizuru just trying to wait until July 11th, you know, after her whole play is done. And that's what Yaemori is getting from this situation. To be honest, that's not the feeling or the kind of vibe that I got of Chizuru in the last few chapters of how she was, you know, kind of portraying it. It was what, 390? That isn't kind of like, I did not think personally that she was going to be very receptive towards Kazuya's feelings, or at least that's not the vibe that I got when Yaemori confronted her and started going off on Chizuru. But this is Chizuru's take on the whole matter. And yeah, man, it's just kind of hard because it's like Chizuru is just such a silent character. Yes, we've gotten some monologue of her, but not like, dude, if you've read any shonen whatever rom-com thing, you know that the other love interest has, or like the female lead has, a lot more character development. You know, if that's through direct communication or internal monologue, we just have not gotten that through Chizuru's character, so it's kind of hard to make a judgment call. But if this is what Yaemori is saying, this is what Yaemori is saying, right? But yeah, you know, Yaemori's being very, what's the word, bro? I mean, she's just trying to give Kazuya hope at the end of the day, right? Saying, oh, this is gonna be your anniversary, and you know, it's gonna be such a big day. You know, Kazuya's a little starry-eyed. Whatever, bro, I don't really care. And yeah, Kazuya back in the cup chair, bro. I'm saying he can wait, he won't get in the way of her work. It's like, bro, dude, just lock in, dude. But yeah, I mean, dude, I just feel like there's nothing much to say in this story, bro. It's just a big nothing burger of a chapter, big nothing burger of an arc, bro. Like, dude, okay, like we get some cool stuff that's gonna happen at the end, like, bro, but other than this, it's just like, this is everything that we've gotten. And you know, I feel like this chapter was not very useful, to be honest with you. It's like we got the gist of this chapter from last chapter and the one before it, and you know, Kazuya's still saying, oh, I'm not gonna get in her way, I just want to, you know, be the best dude I can for her. And yeah, and that's basically what, I guess that's kind of, I guess the only reason for this chapter is Yaemori basically saying, or telling Kazuya, hey, so this works out, you know, the best that it can. You have the highest probability of success, you know, to get play before you die. You should probably lock in, right? So this is kind of what he's trying to do, or Yaemori's trying to do. Tell him that, like, hey, you know, there's things that you could work on. Obviously, I'm not gonna name that, like, she, you know, Yaemori's not saying nothing, but she's saying that she's, you know, you've already been rejected and there's a reason for that. and you probably know the reason more than I do. And I guess when Kazuya's kind of, oh, I've just been walking through these pages, dude. I'm just yapping, dude, at this point. But yeah, basically, like in this panel, right? Freak, that doesn't zoom it in. But Chizuru is basically saying that she wants someone who is on their shit, right? And I'm not gonna lie, that's not really Kazuya, bro. He's kind of just he spent most of his college life chasing after her and not really doing much else, bro. Like, I think he's not failing his classes, is he? Maybe he did fail a few classes, but it's more of just like, dude, he's just so unlocked in, dude. And he doesn't really have any job prospects lined up other than working at, is it a liquor store that his parents run? It's like some family-owned business, right? So that's kind of, his fallback plan on what he was gonna do anyways. But now he kind of has, the push from Yaemori and Chizuru to, do something better with his life. And the craziest part to me, at least for this chapter in particular, was him saying, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna confess again, bro." It's like, dude, how many strikes until you're out type shit, bro? Like, dude, he just needs, like, I don't even know. Like, from the other chapters, it seemed like to me that Chizuru was gonna, make her move, do whatever she was gonna do. It ended up not happening. She ended up stalling, and her final excuse is that she has this play, and then I'm assuming after that she's gonna confess or do whatever. Then I don't think Kazuya is gonna confess more into, like, later on in the series, and that's just my personal opinion on it. Yeah, Kazuya is just, bro, whatever, dude. He's just Kazuya. But yeah, Yaemori, she's thinking about life, bro. She's thinking about why her friend got rejected in the first place. I guess if I was in that situation, I'd probably think the same thing too. It's like, there's no way that, they don't like each other, because, but I guess it is kind of a war of attrition, right? I don't even know. It's not like Kaguya. We're not on some Kaguya type timing where, the two of them are like each other, but like act like they don't like each other. It's more of just Chizuru, like, not admitting her feelings. But yeah, this chapter does kind of turn into a flashback a little bit for the second half, which is very, very insightful as to why, it was hinted at earlier in the series as to why Chizuru may, like, why she's just so against, getting into a relationship. We get that flashback here, basically. Just Yaemori and Chizuru talking to each other, and Yaemori finds a picture of Chizuru's mom, right? And, she's just saying how, they look similar, it looks so beautiful, whatever. And Yaemori's just asking, like, oh, why didn't she, become a model? Or, get into the show business. And Chizuru kind of gets into it, saying that she doesn't think that she wasn't interested in doing it. It's just, apparently she had a kid early, teen pregnancy, and Chizuru's dad kind of just up and left, right? He hit the dash. And this can kind of, this is kind of signifying why Chizuru, or this is just like, a main reason, at least in my opinion, why Chizuru may have, may be so averse. It's not like so outlandish for her to be very against dudes or whatever, or against, having love, if though, her dad's just like up and left, bro. But yeah, especially the way that she talks about her dad, it's not like, she doesn't talk of him in like a kind way, right? It's more of just like, oh, she, that was just my mother's partner and she left, and my mom died because, she was too weak from having the baby too early. And basically what this does is it kind of gives her view on love, right? Because as we can see in Chizuru's, opinion, in her own voice, right? She's saying that feelings, is that what love is? And feelings are fleeting, right? And they change all the time, and they can be gone just like that. Because I guess, that's how she has experienced love in her life. That's just a big pain point for her, especially if she doesn't, she doesn't know the full story, does not talk to her dad, no communication. She did have her grandparents, but, maybe she doesn't really consider that love, right? That's more of just familial, it is love in a sense, but it's not what she's thinking about romantically involved with another person. It's kind of sad. It is kind of sad, man, but it's just, this is a plot point that needed, it was brought up a little bit, but it needed to be addressed way earlier in the series, I feel like. But it's here now, and it's not the worst. It's just like, bro, we could have done a lot better. But yeah, And basically throughout this chapter, Yaemori's kind of putting the puzzle pieces together on why Chizuru has been acting the way she has been acting, right? She is just very, what's the word, wary, or, you know, I guess, yeah, distrustful is, you know, the best word. They put it here too, right? She's just, you know, she doesn't trust men, right? Because, I mean, the one man or whatever that, you know, her father figure just like left her life. Well, she didn't even really know him, so she didn't have any memories of him to be fond of or not to be fond of. All she knows is that this dude left, and now my mom's dead, and now it's like I have to live this, you know, life that, you know, I didn't really feel like living like that. But yeah, so her perspective is kind of screwed up, and I guess if that's the way her, you know, her perspective is, the way that Kazuya's character really, you know, has been set up throughout the entire series, and the way he's been so persistent and just open and, you know, trying to gain Chizuru's favor in this, what do you call it, like, in this just like unrelenting way of like almost unconditionally loving her, right? You know, Chizuru just has never experienced anything like that, and she doesn't really, it's hard for her to attribute that towards love, but I think she's starting to figure out that that kind of is what it is, right? And, you know, it does make the whole series of Rent a Girlfriend a lot more wholesome, right? Because, you know, Chizuru is, she's been through and she's dealing with a traumatic experience, and it's like, you know, Kazuya really might be the superhero. The only thing here is that his word choice, right? You know, this is just not the right word choice here. If you know, you know. It's just despicable, bro. It's like he feels like Gru, but it's like, bro, whatever, dude. But yeah, you know, 400 chapters deep, bro. Okay, whatever, dude. Kazuya's just still talking about this. I'm not even going off of these the panels. I'm just kind of yapping. You know, it's easier for me to just read off the panels when I'm just in the car recording it, but this way it's a lot easier for me to talk about the series. But yeah, I think Chizuru now is starting to wisen up. You know, it's 400 chapters deep. She's starting to get the hint that, you know, Kazuya might be in love with her for real, which is a little crazy. You know, whatever, Kazuya's hyped. She, you know, Yaemori's the best, you know, hype man ever, wingman, whatever you want to call her. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of where the series is heading. Definitely going to end soon. I think the author is just not gonna bring back Mommy or Ruka. I mean, I don't think Mommy's coming back or Kibe's coming back, like, in any significant way, to be honest with you. But as we see here, dude, you know who is coming back? Umi-kun, bro. So Kazuya might be in the cuck chair for a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, the series is definitely coming to a close. The way that things are headed, I mean, what more can they really talk about? You know, they've kind of, I mean, we all kind of know that what the conclusion of the story is going to be. It's like they're going to become like real partners or whatever. They're going to become a couple for real, and it seems like that's about to happen, right? I don't think Umi-kun is going to be like the evil villain here, right? Because I just, you know, he might have feelings towards Chizuru, but I don't know if Chizuru's going to take it that way. But yeah, I mean, I think this is just because she doesn't really know who to talk to, right, about this whole situation, because she had Yaemori, but it really seems like Yaemori is just, you know, fangirling over Kazuya. So of course she's gonna say, oh, just freaking, you know, just do the thing, bro. But like, you know, an outside opinion is always welcome. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think it's gonna be anything crazy here. Maybe we might get some rage bait from Reiji, but it's like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be anything crazy, dude. The thing is, I forgot to cover Chi family, bro. Like, I mean, there's no new chapter this week, so I'm gonna cover it because it's like actually decent writing. But yeah, like the plot there is just so much better, bro. So that's kind of my plans for the future, bro. That's kind of what I'm gonna do. But yeah, that's I just started yapping. But yeah, this is the end of the chapter, man. It was kind of, you know, it moved the story forward. What else could we really ask for? I mean, we're in between arcs, kind of. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, dude, I'm not comparing this to One Piece, bro, because like, yeah, man. But yeah, this is, let me know if you like this style. It's a lot different. You guys get to see all the panels. You know, this is probably more like likely to get taken down. But yeah, in Kubari we trust, bro, and that's about it, bro. I'll see y'all.